I'm Dr. K. Anita, Associate Professor in English, Sithalakshmi Ramaswamy College, Tiruchirappalli. In this video, I'm going to share some notable points in the works of Edmund Spenser. For 150 years after Chaucer's death, poetry worth its name seemed to be almost non-existent in England. From the year 1400 down to the birth of Spenser in 1552, there is no poetical genius of the first or even of the second rank in the history of England. But with Spenser dawned early morning on the literary scene of England. The Shepherd's Calendar. The Shepherd's Calendar was published by Spenser in 1579 and two Elizabethans. It marked the appearance of a new poet. It is modelled on the artificial pastoral popularized by the Renaissance and inspired by Virgil. In this poem, Spenser combines his humanist tastes with his love for the soil. There are 12 eclogues, each of them corresponding to a month in the year and having a certain more or less apparent fitness to its appropriate atmosphere and season. The eclogues are found to include three principal themes: love, poetry, and religion. Spenser published the Shepherd's Calendar under the name of Immerito, which he uses also in his correspondence with Gabriel Harvey. The introductory epistle to Harvey, which prefaces the Shepherd's Calendar, together with an argument of the whole book and notes to the individual eclogues, were contributed by E.K., probably Edward Kirk, a contemporary of Spenser at Pembroke Hall. The Shepherd's Calendar is Spenser's apprentice work in the classical pattern, laid out by the work of Virgil particularly. The plan is original, the whole plan from January to December. Spenser is using the agricultural year, not that of the calendar of his day, which began the year in March, is intended to reflect the course of human life from youth to age and also the course of human love, of which the pastoral is the proper poetic expression, from youthful passion to that maturity of experience from which the poet may hope to leave these lighter personal matters for the more serious work of epic. The distinctive figure of the poem is the presence of Colin Clot. He is the figure whom Spenser has made his image, a shepherd, by definition, a man of simple, honest outlook, a lover whose faith is unreturned. Complaints. In 1591, about 12 years after the publication of the Shepherd's Calendar, there appeared a volume entitled Complaints, containing sundry small poems of the world's vanity. The interesting book is marked by a striking uniformity in subject matter. The entire collection is marked with a note of pessimism and gloom. In two poems, Ruins of Time and Tears of the Muses, the poet harps upon the decadence of the age, both in its supercilious disregard for poetry and the disappearance of the great souls and triumph of mean souls. In the Complaints, Spenser appears as out of tune with the spirit of the times. Daphnida. In 1591, Spenser published his elegy lamenting the death of Douglas Howard, the daughter of Henry Lord Howard and the wife of Arthur Gorges. The couple had been married on October 14, 1584, when Douglas was in her 13th year. The match was vehemently opposed by her father. About 4 years after the marriage, their child Ambrosia was born, and less than 2 years later, on August 13, 1590, Douglas died after a long illness and before she had reached her 19th birthday. The 7 divisions of the poem, moving to a climax of strong emotion and leading up to a brief conclusion, have as their subjects the lady's beauty, her deathbed address to her husband, the latest contrast between past joys and present sorrows, his expression of bitterness and resentment, and the voicing of his hatred of all things to which his sorrows has led. Here and there, passing allusions to sheep and shepherds associate the Daphnida loosely with the pastoral. Colin Clot's Come Home Again is to the lover of Spenser one of the richest and most suggestive of his minor poems. The poem is a sumptuous compliment to Gloriana, or Cynthia as she is here called. To his English friends in Ireland, He tells of his voyage to the great queen in a mighty ship. This is followed by a beautiful description of the sea and the superb compliments paid to the queen. The poet answers in a courtly passage, paying tribute first to his well-remembered Rosalind, then to Urania, Sidney's sister, and fair Marian, and many more, with the last of all the poet's own kindred. Colin Claude's Come Home Again is the pastoral vein. It is a graceful piece of autobiography. Colin Claude is Spenser himself. He meets another shepherd, Sir Walter Raleigh, who brings him to the court of Cynthia. The poem is a satire, the form is pastoral, the manner simple and without ornament, but never prosaic, touching the most trivial incidents with grace. Amity and Epithalamion. Soon after his return to Ireland in 1591, Spenser began his suit to Elizabeth Boyle, to whom are addressed the Amity sonnets and the superb Epithalamion, which concludes them. In them he voices his feelings sincerely, without any affectation and without any recourse to allegory. These Spenserian sonnets depart from Petrarch's precedent. Spenser's sonnets are unique by their purity. They tell a story of love without sin or remorse. There is a pure atmosphere, and the sonnets are bathed in white light. They should make better than anything else the quality in Spenser which Coleridge named maidenliness. The poet extols his mistress' beauty with a great sensual wealth of detail and color, and does not conceal the order of his desire. Epithalamion is a remarkable poem. It excels all other composition of the same kind. Its 23 stanzas of 17 to 19 lines merely describe enthusiastically the whole of the poet's wedding day, from the dawn of the sun, which lit its glorious hours, to the night. Prodlamion and Four Hymns. Prodlamion is a spousal verse made in honor of the two daughters of the Earl of Worcester. Metrically, this poem is perhaps as beautiful as his own marriage ode. Here too, in a wedding song, allusions to Spenser's sad personal events are just adumbrated. The poem is, however, filled with smooth images and harmonious lines. In Four Hymns, from pastoral, Spenser passed to chivalrous poetry. His sense for beauty and love took a Platonic turn, and the poet regarded beauty of women, which inspires love, as the reflection and index of divine beauty. The Four Hymns are an hymn in honor of love, an hymn in honor of beauty, an hymn of heavenly love, and an hymn of heavenly beauty. In this poem, Spenser undertakes to expound his philosophy of love. It undertakes to discover the relationship between earthly and heavenly love. The Fairy Queen. The original plan of the work included 24 books, which was to recount the adventure and triumph of a knight who represent a moral virtue. In a letter addressed to Raleigh, Spenser described the plot and theme of this poem. According to Spenser, its object is to fashion a gentleman of noble person. Prince Arthur is to supply the hero and his search for the fairy queen. Allegorically, Arthur is to represent magnificence, or of, as the letter explains, a brave knight perfected in the 12 private moral virtues as Aristotle hath devised, and the fairy queen glory in general and Queen Elizabeth in particular. In this way, Spenser intended to celebrate the greatness of his nation and its sovereign, just as Virgil had celebrated Rome and its emperor. Within the total design, the poem is to be divided in 12 books, each centered on a single virtue with its own distinctive representative, and each offering Arthur an opportunity to enter at a vital stage in the action, where his superior merit can reveal itself in a power greater than its individual hero possesses. The Fairy Queen is written in the famous Spenserian stanza. The aim of the poet is moral edification through an allegorical device. Thank you.